Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. When we are children, we tend to look at things, you know, A or B. Never see or, white, black, good, and evil. Once we become a little bit more mature and more experienced in our lives, we understand that things are not always, or most of the time, they're not just bipolar. You know, A plus minus, and there are in between gray zones. I know that we might have had some idealistic period of time in our lives. At least that's how I grew up, and with my friends and my acquaintances, where we think that let's make a better world, which is a fantastic thing. What if we were all good, and all that. Okay, and then you pass that, I'm guessing, because you realize that you're dealing with humans, and you start knowing yourself more. You start knowing the people around you, the humans around you, and you understand the human nature and what we are and how we are. And then you possibly become a little bit of a disillusioned and depressed. No illusions on the human race's abilities or limits. We have our limits like everything else. Now, we talk about here free speech. Would be very nice to have full free speech, entire, spectrum. Now we talk about freedom of expression the same way. There are some limitations. Obviously, you wouldn't expose children with certain kind of, you know, how should I put it? I was about to say, anyway, but you understand what I'm saying. We have news outlets. We hoped and we think when we're younger that the news and media and entertainment, they work just naively to entertain us and objectively inform us. I can talk about this from my own perspective. That's how I thought. And after a while, it depends when you learn that 16, 14, 20, never. You understand that there's a, interest, special interests put the human being and human nature in all this equation, and you understand how objective the news is and the news outlets. I'm for as much freedom in expressing, and I'm for the freedom of expression and a marketplace of ideas where we meet over there, and we argue about things, we debate things, and then bring evidence to support our claims, and based on the evidence you win, or you have a more complete knowledge on the subject. But it doesn't mean that I banned that guy or that guy or that guy because I don't like him. I allow him, as he allows me, to come in front of you and express and expose my knowledge, which, as I said, has an agenda, subjective, human race, human, instincts, nature. In this case, we have countries that claim to be free countries. And remember the free world? Yeah, the free world is the Western Europe, now Europe as it is, and the United States, Canada. These are they consider it. Maybe New Zealand, Japan. Blah, blah. There's a lot of countries that are considered the free world, and there are some countries that are not in the free world. Now Russia is considered a country that is not part of the free world. But France is considered a country part of being part of the free world, where freedom of expression should run around, and the marketplace of ideas should be open to anyone. The problem is they do not allow all of them to participate because they're afraid that their population will be so dumb they would not understand what the other guy is saying because they tell you the truth. Well, so in this case we have, and this is not for this particular media outlet. I'm doing this so people who are on the fence and they do not know yet which side to jump, they could jump on that side. I'm talking about the freedom of speech issue. And if people who are, oh, no, there's free world, this is an example. Okay, we have here a Russian media outlet, which obviously is considered by the free world as being a propaganda machine for the Russian government. Okay, it's funded by the Russian government. So is BBC. So is NPR by the US taxpayers. So, all the same par. The only difference that, based on certain kind of evidence, those are free and objective, free world media outlets, and this guy is bad because he's bad. Okay, look at what they're doing. So I'm talking about Russia Today, and Russia Today, its assets were and accounts were frozen by France. So I have an article and I have another article here where it talks about the retaliatory moves Russia will take because this happened. So Russia vows to retaliate against French media after Russia Today France bank accounts frozen. So that means you can participate. The next move was Russia Today France head announces broadcaster's closure after Paris blocks its account. That means basically bankrupt. You can't have access to this. Bye-bye, you're out. You can't spew your evil propaganda on our free people that they cannot discern what's, propaganda and what's not, because you're so smart. So that means these guys are looking down on the French population, assuming that the French could not understand which is lying and who's lying, and only we are supposed to give you the information because we're the good guys and we would not lie to you. Those guys, no, bad, out. Instead of allowing them to come and fight with knowledge, with information. No, that's a lie. That's no arguments, facts, evidence. Nah. I don't allow you to show up here and expose your side of the story. No. Why? Because I think that my population is so that cannot comprehend that and could not look through you, basically. So I'm not going to go over and read the articles regarding the one that, will retaliate. What's going to happen is going to be the Russians are going to ban the French media or others in Russia. Who's losing? The Russians. The population. As the French will lose in France because they will not have a alternative news, how should I put it, media outlet, bad as it is. That could you could consider that as a training ground. Like for instance, I watch CNN, or I don't watch CNN. I watch CNN from time to time, or MSNBC, or these guys, just to look through them and train myself. I debate with people on the left, I debate with people on the right, because I'm learning. I'm learning from all sides. But here, no, you have a mommy and a daddy who protect the French citizens because they are not that smart, it seems like, according to these guys, and they try to protect them like you protect a kid from... Don't look over there at the neighbor. She shows her boobs. Don't look at her. I'm going to protect you. I understand that one. But here, if you're treated like that, you're going to act like that. So, let's see the first paragraph here. On the air in France, Belgium, Canada, Switzerland, and Mediterranean countries since 2017, Russia Today France quickly became one of the largest alternative francophone news broadcasters in Europe and North America. Russia Today France was banned from broadcasting throughout the EU and Canada, free world. Okay. In early 2022, for providing a Russian perspective on the Ukrainian crisis. Now, this comes from a Russian media. So again, put your Russian filters over there, okay? So obviously they're all good. The other ones are bad. Got that one. The truth is in the middle, all right? And who's losing? French citizens, Russian citizens. Russia Today France has announced its closure after the blocking of its bank accounts in France. And I'm quoting, after 5 years of harassment, the authorities in power have achieved their goal, the closure of Russia Today France. End quote, the broadcaster said in a press statement tweeted out by editor-in-chief blah 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 on Saturday. Well, the broadcaster cited a series of recent articles and columns in French media, which it said was designed to smear Russia Today France and take it off the air. Well, after the EU blanket block against Sputnik and Russia Today in early 2022, Russia Today France continued broadcasting online and via a Russian satellite, and its content accessed via VPN on or social media. Well, they did that job on them. In Saturday's statement, the broadcaster recalled that it has been the target of force seeking to shut it down up since its launch for offering blah 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 blah. So, this is the broadcaster emphasized that the coverage of the conflict in Ukraine, which got it banned from television broadcasts in 2022, was consistently treated in a vigilant and balanced way. And I'm quoting, whether other detractors who very often only rarely glanced at our channel and obviously which with a bias way say. Well, the same here. You have here the program, or not mine, but all of us, Some people say something, some people don't like it. Instead of using counter arguments or exposing their side of the story, they better take you out. That's their style. Do you remember a party who used to do this? Or at least an ideology? Or even if you don't put it next to an ideology, what is this? That tells you that some people have more power than other people, just like that. Power on something that is actually a common good, which is information. And if you think that free mass media is telling you objective and all that, right? That means, you got a lot of work to do. That's what I'm saying. So, nevertheless, I'm not, I can access Russia Today if I want, still where I'm at, but I'm talking about those guys over there. There are many people who want to see an alternative news outlet. Like, remember when Al Jazeera came up? It was Al Jazeera when it was Al Jazeera. Oh my God, that threatened the narrative. So what they do? No, until they did what? Now you tell the story the way we want it. Go. This is the world we live in, I think, and I should have the right to say it's the way, that way, whatever I see. And if someone disagrees with that, is going to try to do this to me? Put me in jail? Basically, if he's going to not allow me to talk anymore, that means people will hear only one side of the story, which is the one that approved by a few. Well, when you go to a library, nobody tells you, hey, you can't read that book, you can't read that book. But what they do, they don't print those books and they don't keep them in the library. That happened when I was a kid in communist Romania. A boy, not a kid, a boy. Because anyway. So, you could go to the library, you couldn't find books, but you go to old people that had books from before the communists came, and they still had those books. They were politically incorrect at that time, forbidden by the communists. Not forbidding that you can't have them, they were not printing them anymore. Therefore, you had no access to that, no information, erased. Unless you knew an 80-year-old guy who had those books from the, 30s, 20s, and so on, which I had a fantastic chance to have where I lived. And that guy would lend me books. I would go, he would write down the date when he lent it to me. I would come and bring it back, or if I forgot or something, but I usually read them in 1 or 2 days, boom, boom. But anyway, I had that. He got a big library, but he got forbidden books. What are you going to do with these guys? You're going to hear only one side of a story? I mean, books are books, media is media. Anyway. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I hope that we don't go to that path when we will be arrested for having the wrong ideas. Remember the communist Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, where he said that that's a fringe minority with unacceptable views. Says who? You, the society, they're part of the society too. So we're going to get to the point when the unacceptable views will get you in prison. That happened before. What makes you think it's not going to happen again? It happened in countries that we didn't expect. Educated countries, democratic country at one point, right? So good luck to us. Good luck to you, the French people, as well. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.